easy to price their work because anyone can do it with an ArtNet subscription and a lot of patience. But, you know, when it's a younger artist, I do agree that there is perhaps in Dubai and in the Middle East in general, people think, oh wow, you know, this is my most beautiful artwork from my graduating year, so I'm going to sell it for $10,000. Yes. And I'm like, wow, for $10,000, I could buy a Lucian Freud print. So why would I buy this? You know, so there is, again, maybe the part about art schools here, and actually art schools in the UK don't really provide that kind of selling information. I spend a lot of time helping artists understand that the first year they graduate, unfortunately, even though their heart's in it, it's not really worth anything, just because your mum likes it. I'm just doing this on purpose. But no, I think pricing is difficult, but at the same time, I do it all the time, and actually I find it, in general, pretty straightforward. People just don't always like my response.
It's very difficult to price the artwork. I'm just representing the people who's doing a lot of commission works. Not really artists who does exhibition works. Mostly, most of our work has been commissioned by people who's doing murals on the walls. And it's purely, they're gonna, hey, we have a wall here, why don't you, how much is your, give me a quotation and let's talk about business, as they said. I think it's very hard to price it because there's a lot of artists doing the same thing here, and also they have different sort of pricing. And these people, Dubai is very small, you know. It's like these people knows this artist, and they would do a quote from this artist as well. So we have this competition of people, and they would. I'm sorry to say, but they would actually typecast some people as well. There's some. It's either you're in a category of what, subcategory of a certain genre, or you're in a certain category of race sometimes, you know? It's kind of weird, but it's happening here in Dubai. So we're on the other end as artists. It's very hard to sometimes we also as artists come together. It's like we're in the same client, and how much you pay for that wall? And they were like, oh really? It's like they paid like 20,000 and they paid us like 5,000 only. It's kind of weird. Sometimes it happens. So how do you price? You have to talk to your contemporaries. You have to kind of have this certain standard. And by the way, like a 1 meter wall would be 3,500. Then you multiply that. That is your wall.
Yeah, like a square meter price.
Yeah.
But then you have to rely on all of your contemporaries sticking for
Yeah.
that, and not the one guy going, I've not sold anything for 2 months, I need this wall, so I'm going to do it for 3,000, while everyone else, I know everyone else is quoting 3,000.
And if you're a young artist or you're new in Dubai and you don't know the community, you'll be left blind. And you don't know how to connect with these people because sometimes they would sometimes tackle you in some projects, some artists, because they're well known, they know you have a name here in Dubai, and that's actually what's happening.
But you can't block the market by saying, right, we'll all give a standard unit rate. And we do a lot of murals, but there are certain artists that I will go to because some are better at street art, some are better at realism. So it's more there is one who's amazing, he's really expensive, but that might be for a public area, you know, in a lobby where I might be able to use somebody less expensive in a corridor.
Also the social media aspect of the artist. You know, oh, I will hire Cobra from Brazil, who's like a graffiti artist. Who's like you have how many followers? Like 100,000 followers in Instagram, and we here in the local scene, it's like we are doing the same thing, but they're charging like 10 times as us.
Yeah.
And why? And they said you're cultivating art here in Dubai, and you're kind of recognizing the local.
Is that like buying a pair of trainers from Carrefour and buying a pair of trainers from Prada?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Is that the difference? Is that the difference? You're paying for the name.
I'll just say that's a terrible question.
Because in return, if Cobra was there on the gig, all right, he will turn up the event. It multiply more. Probably the event will be published in Post magazine, all those sort of publications outside Dubai. And that will make more maybe monetize that artist.
Khaled?
I think we, as designers, we are a bit safer than the artists, frankly speaking, because I think we have a different approach how to price our product. We have something to compare, like categories of the product itself, and then definitely the professional age plays a role. The material maybe you use in it, if it is too refined material or so, I mean, people understand the difference between this type of food and the other one. So I think there is parameters for us where we have a category brackets for a table, a coffee table, within 6 years of profession made of this certain elements. There is a comparison we can do. With the art, is a little bit difficult, even if there's an oil painting versus oil painting or collage versus collage. I think in the past, professional age or like the artistic age, yes, plays a role, because if we talk again back to those masters from the UAE, they've been doing art maybe in the past 30 or 30 years. Some of them were recognized and collected by museums, and this is what raised their value. But who did price their work at that time? I think the danger or the risk with young artists is when they are picked too early by galleries or museums, and they stay within this bubble of that price. Yeah. Because the minute they don't sell and they are out of that gallery, then they think this is their price in the market, and that's what dropped them down. And that's the risk. So, and they don't want to say no for the proposal from a gallery because they are so excited, and they are just starting and they are picked up by the gallery. The galleries are too smart here to pick the right ones. Sometimes, it's a panel, sometimes some galleries becoming too greedy as well to ask a young artist to pick them up. They are confident they have the database who will be buying the art, but then this artist will get sometimes, if lucky, 50% or less, but he's too young to get some out of that work. And at the end, if they left him after 6 months alone, what pricing I should put for my next work? And that's the thing. So I'm from my side, I think I'm a little bit safe because this is the way I would do. I mean, this is one, and I remember someone had mentioned the positioning. Now, with this, I think I'm not the ideal situation or the scenario that I will talk about, but for me, I could afford to do that. To say, I'm going to put this in this market by this price because I want to be positioned with it. So in the future, my chair, minimum of this, maximum of that. But I know that I can support, if I didn't sell this chair or this product for a year, I can survive. Yeah. Now, where you don't have that situation, you really need to sell, then you need to be realistic. Positioning is good, and I think it plays a big role in the future. Like it builds your brand equity, but not everyone can afford it. So I can't generalize it and say it's the way to go.
Okay. Do you find there's a lot of clamour for Emirati artists and Arabic artists? And are there enough artists out there, Emirati artists, to fill the requests?
Short answer, no. There isn't enough.
There isn't enough?
No, there isn't enough.
There's a lot of demand.
There isn't enough good ones, and there aren't enough good ones that price themselves in a correct manner.
Okay, so you're finding that the prices for Emirati works and people based in UAE works, they're higher?
Mainly with the Emiratis, I find it a little bit higher, a little unrealistic. I went to a graduate show, and there was a piece I quite liked, and I said, okay, where would we go with that? And she wanted 15,000 dirhams, and I said, well, how? Because her uncle had bought one for that price. It just skewed everything. So therefore, that conversation of where we were going to go, we couldn't do that.
It was the uncle, that's what we want. Yeah, I wish I had an uncle like that.
Who was it?
Yeah, we've got the business card. So?
Well, actually in our case, working with developers for a commercial building, they have specifically asked us to find Emirati artists for the corridors and to promote local art. That was the only scenario I can remember. Yeah, that there has been some requests.
Yeah, we get some.
Yeah, but then I wouldn't know exactly where to go and where to find.
Yeah, that's interesting because during that meeting, when she mentioned that, obviously first thing I thought it was Sheikha Wafa. Yeah, okay, she'd be amazing. But then I reached a blank, so either they're out there and they're not publicized enough, and they don't have a platform to be publicized. They're not promoted as much. Sure, there are shows that graduate shows and stuff like that, but like more of a platform where we can go online. People are not thinking that for commercial aspects for designers, it's a huge business if things are online for us. we can just click